How's it, guys, and welcome to Getting to Grips. So it's going to be a bit different this evening as we had to reschedule the bike shoot for next week. But it's not a problem. So what I thought I'd do is actually go through some of the images that I've shot over the last month or so, and just sort of go through, share what I did, sort of go over them again, show you some of the products and stuff that I actually used in studio to get those shots as well. So as I said, welcome to Getting to Grips, brought to you by Godox SA and Golden Power Batteries. So I'm getting used to this new studio thing that my daughter and Nat normally run. So if things go a bit haywire, then don't blame me. What I also wanted to do was just to go through. Obviously, there's the one shoot we did with the one light, which was just one TT600, which I'm going to get some of the images up, and we're going to go through some of those. So I'm going to be looking down at my PC and up at the camera while I actually get these images up. So the one image that we actually did, let me just bring this across, and I'm going to bring myself down. Let me just move out of the way here. So this was actually a shot that we did with a TT600 strip box, one single light up against a bare white wall. Very simple and very easy shot to actually do. If I can find the flash here we go. And I had it here. So this is what we used. So any speed light can actually be used here. It doesn't even have to have a big fancy one. But it's a nice way to test out your new V1 Pros that you buy online as well. But I used a TT600. This is a manual flash. And things that you need in studio to actually use this as a studio light, there's a couple of things. Firstly, you're going to need some sort of bracket or something to hold this onto your light stands and make sure everything is secure. So I have these actually in studio. These are your Godox S2 brackets, okay? These come in handy on the 8300s, the 8100s, the V1s, and often your speed lights as well. So putting your speed light in, just locking it down enough just to grip it, okay? And then you can put your Bowens, softbox, beauty dish, or whatever on there. So this image here that we had, I just want to get where my mouse is here. And here we go. I'm going to bring myself down here. There you go. So we have the light that was up just above the model, and then just hitting against the wall. So it was not even directly on her. It was just feathering across the front of the actual model. And feathering is a big thing you need to learn in studio as well, because you find I feather a lot of light. I don't often have the softbox directly at the model. I always have the softbox off to the side or slightly pointing forward, but something that you sort of need to get to grips with is feathering light in studio. So that was done with that. So there was a couple of other images we did. We did bare bulb, we did strip box, we did beauty dish, we did, let me just see here. We've got, I'm just going to show the beauty dish one. So this was the one shot we did. Also with this flash, we had a 55 centimeter beauty dish. I'm just going to open up the chat here. These are the things that I forget because my daughter's handling all this. Normally, I'm just shooting the images. Let me just put this down. So just with this bare flash and a piece of foam board, that is all that I actually did for this shot. So already pumping a lot of light out from a beauty dish. No diffuse. I don't think we even had a diffuser on it. We just had a silver beauty dish with this flash and a white bounce board or bounce card. So that was all that was actually in that shot. And so speed lights are very handy in studio. I got a couple of them, but I use them for extra lights when needed. Going through some of these other ones that we did. So this was this one. We also did this one also in studio, which was, I think this one is an edited one because I see the little logo at the bottom there. And if there's any questions about any of the images, just drop them in the comments because I see I've got a Facebook user. So black and white imagery, this was just obviously a conversion from the color one we did, but one single light, one single speed light, very simple modifier. The modifier strip box is not that expensive to actually buy. They're quite reasonably priced, and a flash. So you can actually pick them up and start shooting in studio or start doing studio shots very quickly, very cheaply as well. Let me just see what else I've got here from this shoot. Yeah, so this was an interesting one. So I took this shot in the show. There is it here. This one. Okay, so this one is actually a picture of the 8300. So with the 8300 actually on a ADS65W. The reason I took this shot was because I wanted to show the actual spread of light. So you can actually see that even though it's round, it doesn't come out sort of down quite sharply. This thing almost comes out vertical from the strip box. So that's why I say it's important for you guys to start learning how to feather light, because it will actually help you create those different styles, those nice moody styles in your shots. So I see I've got a whole load of people saying how's it, but it doesn't have their names for some unknown reason. So it just says, hey Carl, how's it guys? Thanks for tuning in and thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll get some good questions through as well. Any questions that you need to ask, just ask them, and then I will actually look at answering best I can across that side. Right. So just to show you the amount of light that actually spreads out from modifier, and it's the same thing even with a strip box. People have this sort of understanding that strip box and they come out with just this narrow strip of light. It doesn't. It comes out 270 degrees almost on that. And even with a grid on, it will come out and then have a bit of a narrower spread, so you're controlling with the grids. But people think that light doesn't spread out like it does just because you got a 55 centimeter beauty dish. That light comes out big time, but it's like strong light, and it actually comes out wider than the actual diffuser. So just bear that in mind when you're shooting on jobs and stuff, especially in the studio work. Let me just check a couple of other pictures. So this was that one. Just going to go through some of these. And that one, that was the beauty dish. Another thing also, when you're shooting bare bulb, we also did a shot where we did bare bulb. in studio. So this was up against our plastered wall on the one side. So this has got like a bit of a texture to it. But shooting a flash on bare bulb, and is to try and mimic that type of sun outside in full sun up against the wall, and it creates that nice hard shadow that you see down the side of Jean-Marie there, and creates that nice full bright light, which is nice, because I like to do some of these things to actually mimic the sun, so you get them right up against the wall and shoot bare bulb. So you can have an 8300 bare bulb, you can have your flash, which is also just with the bare head, and I think that's what this shot was with. So that's with your flash with a bare head, and just do that. So I mean, I find some photographers are scared of using hard light. Don't be scared of using hard light. Play around with it. You can get some real cool, interesting images from that. So before I probably go on to some of the other ones. Yeah, so this was one with the 8300 and the AD S65W. So you can actually see the way that light is actually happening on the wall, and the model is nicely lit up. And we've actually got a black polyboard down the side there, just to create those nice sort of dark shadows and stuff. I like shooting with nice highlights and shadows. I just find it quite a nice way to actually get the images out there, to get that mood, to get that feeling, and stuff like that. So let me look at some of the stuff I was shooting. So as I said, this was shot with the 8300. Let me get back up here. Okay, so we have the 8300 Pro. So these are my go-tos in studio. I do have the 400s, and I'll tell you why I have the 400s just now. These I find absolutely amazing. There's the actual bulb. So when you're shooting that previous image, when you're shooting bare bulb, that's what you get. So it's got the front diffused section to counteract any hot spots that you may get, and then everything around here is clear and open. And the lights itself, small, compact, and great to use. And I'm going to put up, where's all these? So any other stuff, obviously, any other stuff that you actually see me using, I'm just going to put this up at the bottom. There you go. So I'm just going to put that up at the bottom, so you can use my codes on www.godox.co.za. ADR14s, also a very nice modifier I use a lot in studio. I used also, I think I did use the ADR14s in studio on this shoot. And I'll tell you what I did use, because I've just got this box full of all the gadgets for the ADR14s. So it's like, there you go. So you got a 50-degree grid. So remember, for those that did see the show, when you do put a grid, like I had grids on the strip box, and you're actually feathering that light, wherever the model is, ask the model, can she see any white of the actual light that is on? So if you've got your modeling lamp on, or even if it's just the white of the softbox, if the model cannot see any light, white, she's not going to get hit by the light, because the grids actually control that. So if you just turn there, you'll start seeing, as you can see me through there, as you turn that means light can actually come past and then hit. As soon as you're there, you're going to say, there's no light that's going to be actually coming through. So Grids play an important part in controlling light, especially in small spaces. If you've got a small studio, use a grid. And it's a great way of controlling light. Let me get some of these other, check on the chats here. I'm going to actually see if there's any questions coming in, because I only see Facebook user, whoever that is. Not sure who that is. But anyway, let me just cut back. So I'm just going to go through some of the stuff before I get on to the next shoot. So there you go. So there is your grid. So you can actually see it. If I hold it up to the light, you can see how that grid actually cuts that light out. Very handy things to have. ADR 14 kits I use on the 8300s. I use on my 8400s. So they're great tools to actually get. And I think they're only about $4.95, and you get gels, you get all sorts of stuff with the stuff, which I'll show you now. Other things I use on that shoot was snoots. So this is the SN4. As you can see, it's also got a grid on the front there. It's got the honeycomb little attachment on the front, and these you can get. They're great. This here is actually the standard reflector of my 8400 Pro. I don't really use these on the 8400 Pro because I've got the Bowens, I've got the actual Bowens adapters on, so these don't fit when their Bowens adapter is on. So I use these on my 8300 Pro when I need to use a snoot, because the 8300 and the 8400 also have the Godox mounts. That's your 8300 mount, so there's your Godox mount. And as I said, when I get to the 8400 just now, I'll tell you one of the reasons why I did get it. It's a bit of a hack, but it's the one reason why I did actually get the 8400s as well. Okay. So what other stuff did I use on that shoot? I think that was about it. So it was shooting bare bulb, shooting with a snoot, shooting with the ADR 14 with a grid, shooting with a 30 by 20 softbox with a grid, and we got some real awesome images out. So I think these images actually came out, and I think these ones, I think this one, that one's an edited one, but this is a raw image straight out of camera. So that's straight out of camera using a flash. So let's see what other stuff we got up to on getting to grips. Any questions so far? I just wanted to see if there was. Okay. It's funny how I can actually see the names actually on Facebook, but I couldn't see the names actually in the chat. It's just Facebook user. All right, let me have a look at another one of the shoots we actually did. I'm going to go to. Yeah, this was an interesting one. So I'm going to get this one up. Get this one up here. All right. So I think it was one show that we had a bit of a technical issue on, where I think the connections kept dropping every now and again. But let me just get out the way here. So this shot. This was the shot where I was actually demonstrating how to get white light. Is the comments working better here now? Let's see. I think so, but I'm just seeing a Facebook user and not the actual person's name, which is a bit strange. but I am referencing back to wherever I can on Facebook. So that's probably Clint asking me about the comments, because I think he mentioned it last week. But yeah, so this image was an image that I actually did where I wanted to try and show you that you can shoot pure white using 3 different colored gels on the light. So I think I had a blue on the 8300. Okay. How's it, Steve? So we actually had an 8300 Pro with a green, the blue, and then we had a red on the 8400 Pro, I think it was. We had the 3 lights set up. We set the power across the lights, and we took the shot and got the white background to be white and got white light on the model, but the shadows filled in with the magenta, the cyan, and the yellow, which is all part of the color theory that we were explaining on that show. So that was one of those, and we did a couple of images like this, and that was also quite cool to play around with. So if you can take a flashlight, you could take any type of light and actually have those 3 colors, and you will get white. So it's quite an interesting topic, color theory. I think we must do a workshop at head office with color theory. All right, cool. So let me just go to one of these images. Because then we were also looking at the monochromatic type shots. So this was now just doing the blue gels and just getting different hues and stuff like that. So it was actually quite a cool episode. I love working with gels. I love working with smoke and all sorts of things. It's one of my favorite pastimes in studio, to make sure we get that. And these were actually something that I often use, which I mentioned earlier, something that I do on the 8400 Pro. So here we have the 8400 Pro. Okay. Now, often I'll have this in a softbox, which I've just got a speed ring here, and just imagine there's a softbox on here. So inside your softbox, this is what your light is going to be looking like. And the thing I love about the 8400 Pro is it's got the Godox mount, and it's got your Bowens mount. So I can put this onto a softbox, and then I can actually put one of my ADR 14s inside the softbox over there. So I've actually got 2 modifiers on the one light at the same time, which is quite cool. So I actually often have my gels inside the softbox on the 8400 using the ADR 14. Works well, seems to work for me. So quite a cool thing to actually have on. So yeah, that's the ADR 14s. I also use, sometimes I use them smack bang on the 8400s as well. So they actually work quite well. It does give a different behavior on the way the light happens, obviously because the way the bulb is. So the bulb is a lot further out in the reflector than what an 8300 Pro is. It's a lot further back, so it just behaves a little bit different with this reflector on. Okay, I'll just put that back down there. All right. Clint. Yes, Clint, I can actually see it's the YouTube's comments are working. So it looks like all the comments are working a lot better, so that's cool. And thanks for that, Clint. Right, let's just grab another one of these images up. And if you guys are wondering how come these images are appearing behind me, I did do a little short video of what I do. All right. So there was another couple of shots here we did. This was an interesting one. There was a shot I actually did, and it was this shot here. It was also monochromatic. So it's monochromatic, and the nail polish the model was wearing would not change color no matter what I threw at it. So it was quite an interesting combination of color and nail polish that would not actually change in the image. So I think they were I think they were this Lumo, it must have been Lumo nail polish or something or other there, which was not allowing us to change. Another shot we did, obviously now we had, this is now where you have your split complementary. So we had the blue, we had the orange, and we had the yellow. So split complementary, blue, and as you go up, complementary is opposite of the actual color. Your split will then actually go two off, so you'll have yellow, orange, and blue. So also again, working with the color theory, just to get those type of things up and going. Well, I think it would be definitely a good workshop to do. All right. Yeah, it definitely will be better than duct tape and gels. I think with the duct tape, some of this duct tape is very, like, hectic because it like leaves that glue all over everything and everything. I mean, the gaffer tape I find actually works quite well. Oh, these with flashes or tube lights. So these, okay. So Clint, there's a question here. So this is all flash, okay? So all of this is actually flash. There's no tubes. This is all flash. I have done a couple of shots where I've used the tubes where we've done that, but most of my lights in studio are flash. It's only when I go and ask Godox, they say quite nicely, please can I have these to use in studio, and then I'll use some consistent lighting in studio. I think I will get to one of them where I actually did a mix between flash and consistent light as well. So yeah, no, that's cool. Let me see. Let me get one of the other images up here. I did like almost like this one here. So so this was an image, it was blue and yellow. So it's like these two very striking colors that that you actually get. And I actually love doing shots like this because it almost looks very much like an 80s like an 80s type of album cover that you would actually see. It's not a case of which one is better. It's a case of obviously what you've actually got at hand in your toolkit. Consistent lighting is just like any other light. Flash, it just depends on, do you prefer to actually see as you're lighting it, or do you have an understanding on how flash works? Because I do prefer flash, myself. Because I haven't really delved into too much consistent lighting, I have used it. But I've grown up with flash, which is probably when you were in nappies, Clint. So yeah, it's a bit of a mix. So I mean, people have worked with consistent lighting. I think consistent lighting is great for video. It's getting better for the photography use. But yeah, no, I prefer flash because I feel I can control it more. That's all. But that's my preference. Okay. So what would be, there's a good question here. So what would be the major reason for this type of shoot? Okay, so you do get requests. Well, I get requests from musicians and stuff on shooting like bright color gels and doing that type of thing. Often they need it for postering, or they need it for album covers, or sort of digital covers for their MP3 type stuff. And this is the type of thing I would shoot if they were requesting for bright colors. They want that different look. So that's where I would start messing around with color gels. So yeah. All right, let me have a look at some of these other ones. I think we're going to get onto the ones where we actually mixed flash and consistent lights together. Let me just get to, and I think that was this one here. So this is, let me just go back here. So let me bring this one across. So this was a shot that we actually had gels on flash, and we had a consistent light in the shot as well. So we actually used the Godox VL300 with a projection unit on it, the SA17 and the SAP. So that was the consistent light. So we had that like a good full bout at the model there, trying not to get it to look into that light because it is exceptionally bright. The VL 300 is bright. It is super bright. And then we had two 8300 Pros, and both of them were pointing up to the ceiling. One had a blue gel and one had the other gel. It was almost like it almost comes out pinky, because in the ADR14 kit, you get these. You can't really see the red because of the green screen, but you have that. Sometimes I double them up if I want to actually get a stronger red. And then there was the blue, the light blue that you get in the 8400, in the 8014 kit. Okay, so these are gels that you actually get in the kits. So that was it. It was two 8300 flashes pointing up to the ceiling, bouncing the light down, and obviously just lighting up the color in the shadows. And the VL300 was pointing right at the model, making sure we hit the disco ball, just to give those bit of dots and flares and stuff out and about. So that was mixing flash and consistent light. So I should have a couple more of these ones, which we did some other stuff. And yeah, so this was also another one where we actually had, I think we had an 8400 lighting the model in this one. So we were showing the different type of things where you can actually have the consistent light as your main key light. You could have your consistent light as a background light with flash, because that's where the two colors are coming from as well. And then we used an 8400 to light the model. So it was a total mixture of consistent light and flash all together in this shot. So you can mix them. So if you are a photographer that's wanting to get into some consistent lights, you can buy in slowly while you are using your flash, and you can learn to mix the actual two different lights. You can then have a little bit more of a creative flair and get some different looks out as well. So that was mixing also consistent lighting and flash. Then we had another one where I used the consistent light as our key light. I think it was this one. Okay, so this one also, as I said, I enjoy the smoke and gels and all that type of stuff. It's quite cool. So what we did here was we just had the smoke machine in the back, so you can actually see the smoke coming up in the back. And then obviously the only way you're going to see smoke is if you light it. So we had a red gel that was above the model's head. We had a green gel this side out of camera, and then we had the blue gel on that side. So, and then the consistent light actually lit up the model shoulder, face. So that was also, again, mixing consistent lighting with flash. If it's something that you can do and play around with, I advise it. It gives you a lot more hands-on knowledge with shooting with a mixed flash and consistent. Let's have a look at another one here. So this was the other one as well, where we actually made sure we got the gel lights to actually hit the disco ball, so it would actually give that sort of glittery dots on all there. Let me just go back out there. So there you can actually see smoke, lights, color. It's awesome. And this is using pretty much stock standard. You could use flash for this stuff. I mean, most of my lights, as I said, is the 8300 Pro and the 8400 Pros. And you can do a lot with these. Indoors, outdoors, and everywhere. So, but you can actually use flash on doing this stuff. Let's see, there's a question here. Okay, my studio is about 2 meters by 3.5, which is 2.5 meter width and 3.5 meters length. I use 3 lights, and so I wanted to know, is there anything such as too much light, depending on your space? It really depends on the type of shoot you want to do. I mean, a lot of times I'm using a single light. My studio is 5 meters, 5 meters by 6.5. And I sometimes when I'm doing agency work, like model agencies, they just want simple, quite flat light, I will have 3 lights set up, one at the back, one at the side as fill, and a 1200 octa as a main light. But generally, most other times, I'm shooting 1 or 2 lights because I like to shoot with some nice contrast, some nice shadows and stuff like that. That's where I sort of fit between. But there's never enough lights. You can never have enough lights. I find like shooting the motorcycle. I was playing around with the bike the other day, and I was putting one light in place above, and then I was finding other places where I could just strategically put little bits of light, and you could easily use up to six lights, no problem. But obviously in your space, what size, what size are your modifiers? Because that's also going to play a big part as well in a small space. Because if you have very large modifiers and you're needing to control light, then you need to make sure you have modifiers that you can put grids on and rather feather light across your subject. And as I said, it really depends on the style and the look that you're actually wanting to achieve. But yeah, so let me, I think, I don't know if you saw the first lot of images that I did was, and that was just using one light in studio. Right. I'm going to get to, so these ones here. So these were the ones I think I did on the last show that I did. Now this was 2 lights. So we had a strip box that was, so we had a strip box that was actually coming from the side, so you can see the light down the arm of the model there. That's, and you can see the flare coming from the back a bit there. And this is a straight out of image. So what we did was we wanted to get that light, just a bit of a kicker light from behind, just to actually put a bit of light down the side, just to create that separation. And then we had a light that was actually above the model, just off this sort of side. It would be your camera right, with a beauty dish with a grid on it. So gridding a modifier gives you that control where you can now really put your light into where you want your light to be. And that's what I like about lighting. I mean, we can all sort of put lots of light and blast, but it's putting it into places, strategically placing your lights and getting that sort of moody story and type of look that you want in an image. Let's just see a question here. Okay. I have 2 Godox 8400 Pros. One of the batteries died on their arrival and would not charge. The vendor replaced the battery. Now 6 months later, neither batteries would charge. I've used them 6 weeks ago. Well, 8400 Pros, I mean, I've still got the original batteries that I actually used from those. I've had no issues with my 400s actually charging. So these are them here. So let me just get full up on the screen here. So these are the original ones that actually came, and I've had these for now almost 2 years. I think it's about 2 years, yeah. So that is the 8400 batteries. I do have the AC. I do have the AC adapters as well. I very rarely use those. I've got them over here. Okay, you can get these as well. If you are shooting indoors, these are quite handy then to have. Obviously, in South Africa with load shedding, it could be a problem, but pretty much anywhere else in the world, you're pretty safe with those. And they're also multi-voltage on there. So be interesting to find out the supplier of the actual batteries as well, and to make sure that the batteries are original ones, proper ones. I've never had an issue with an 8400 battery. I don't know if anybody else is. But look, I mean, if you want to just drop me a message, and I can get back to you and find out exactly what is going on there. Because the batteries, even for my 8300 Pros, I haven't had all the original ones. Okay. So this is who I have a 1200, okay, and 280 mil, 80 centimeters. I hardly use grids because I have no idea of exactly their role until last night. Okay, so grids, I use a lot of grids because, as I said in many of the shows, I'm a real control freak when it comes to light. I like to control my light where I can. If I don't want my light to go somewhere, I put a grid on it. Grids are like amazing things, and that's why I always try and look for a modifier that actually comes with a grid, or that I can get a grid for it, because it's a tool that you would actually always need to use in studio. And once you start using them, there'll be no going back on those type of things. Okay, so you return them. Okay, so you return them back to the vendor, so they're going to have a look at them. No, look, I mean, if there is a problem, then they need to make sure that they back it up with the guarantees and stuff. I know Godox SA do have a 2-year warranty on stuff, and obviously there is obviously restrictions there. As long as you don't pick up the battery and start throwing it around, then you should be fine, or it hasn't fell into a bucket of water, and etc. etc. But yeah, no, but a vendor should actually sort that out. All right, so if I go back to this image, so this was from the shooting black and white images, and this is an example of using grids. So I used a grid here on the actual model using a beauty dish with actually a grid on it. So it just gave me that light in that area that I actually wanted it. Wanted to make sure we got lighting on the hat, made sure that we got enough to actually get into here and inside there, and we got it on the ear, down the neck, which was cool. So the light was coming down from this side, you can see there with the shadows and stuff. So that is making use of a grid. If I had no grid on there, I would have had a lot more light coming in down here, down on the arm, because of the spread of light. So it's a way of controlling the light. So grids are really cool things to actually have. All right, let's get another one of these ones up. So this was another one. This is almost got like that real sort of old black and white sort of film look to it. The beauty dish was actually in front of the model, so that's why you got that little butterfly effect underneath the nose. So it's actually quite cool. The light is caught nicely inside the hat and on top of the hat. And we actually angled the beauty dish a little bit more on like a 45 to a 40-degree angle. And that actually caused a bit of light to actually get onto the background, but only a very little bit. So that wasn't a light sitting behind the model light in the background. That was actually from our key light actually hitting the background from that. We still had a light off to the side, because if you can see, let me just minimize myself here. As you can see, the actual hand is actually got light that's come across onto the actual hand. So there was a light off to this backside, but this light here on this background was actually brought in from the actual beauty dish for the light. All right, any questions around that? Yeah, it's a good thing. Start playing around with them. I mean, if you tune into more getting to grips stuff, you'll see that I use a lot of grids, and I actually often do explain on how to actually use a grid as well, because let me give you this bit of advice. So if you have a model that you're shooting and you've got a grid on and you're feathering the light across the actual model, okay? Probably be able to explain it better with the grid in my hand. So now you've actually got your model. So if you ask your model, if your light is angled like this, and you ask your model, can you see any white through that past the grid? If the model says no, they're not going to get any light hitting them. If you turned your light a little bit more, you can just see now the light coming through. So now you'll know where the model's standing. If they can see the white of the softbox, then you know that you can actually hit them with light. So obviously the more you turn round and turn your light, your grid is going to allow so much light to hit the model, or being full on, it's going to hit full on with the model. So using grids and making sure your model can actually see light or the white parts of the softbox is going to be key for you to know that light is going to hit your subject. Okay, so there's a free tip. Well, I say it every time I'm using grids and get into grips. Okay, so let's get another image up quickly. We have around 52 minutes. Sure, the time flies when it's, but that's cool. Some of the other images we had, which was also this was with a AD-S65W. And what we did was we just used one light only, and I wanted the light to hit a part of the background. You can see now, you can see up in this corner where there's no light, but I wanted the light to actually hit the wooden panel background and then to fall off over here, okay, down at the bottom there. So we got that, we got the model lit up, and we just got a nice black and white with just the one light. So if you are wanting a little bit more fill on these type of shots, then put a bounce card on this side, actually bounce the light back actually into the model, because that's going to be a nice way. And you're only shooting with one light and a bounce card. Okay, so you can actually create some cool things there. So is anybody, let me just give a question to you guys out there. So who has gone and got themselves the X3 trigger? Anybody? Be interesting to see how many people went out and got the X3 trigger, because people were asking and asking me, and then Godox SA got them in stock, and they're not sold out yet, I don't think. So another show that we did was getting pure white backgrounds for e-commerce type shooting. So this was actually quite a, I like doing this because it's quick, easy, simple. It's a very foolproof setup that I actually do, and I showed in the show, which you can actually get it. I think it is on YouTube. These type of things where we want to get the pure white in the back with the reflection. This was all done in camera. I shoot this, I make sure my whites are pure white in camera, and this reflection I would just take a brush and just sort of feather out the reflection on the actual bottom. But otherwise, levels, curves to get contrast, and some stuff on the color and stuff just to make the color pop. Maybe put a bit of saturation if you need to. But in camera, this white you get in camera. Don't try and cut out or trim out. And then I just use an action in Photoshop to size it, sharpen it, size it, sharpen it, and then it's ready to give out to the client for their e-commerce stores. So it's very simple and a very reliable setup. And you can shoot pretty much any product using this option. Let's just see if I got another ones here. That was the mixed. Also, we did a shoot that was talking about stock photography. So I'm just going to get a couple of these ones up. So we had donuts and stuff in the studio, and it was all quite cool. So I was sort of showing to the guys, shooting model shots for stock photography. So whether we had donuts, we got the pink hair out, we had the pink background and everything else like that. And we use it, we shoot the model off center, and we make sure that with space on the side here so we can put advertising, or a client can put advertising in. And in this case, suite of deals at Godox SA, www.godox.co.za, and use our coupon code to actually score a discount. So this is the type of thing that is sort of a very stock-driven image. And I used a lot of the stuff, I think, that I shot on this episode, as it was, a lot of it was, we did like Krispy Kreme, so we had this type of thing just to give examples on that and everything else. Let's just see if there's another couple here. So another one, it's just a shot leaving that negative space actually open. And what I did was, just to show, is I used it for the business cards. So using this type of stuff, getting this type of stuff, or stock imagery from a stock site to use for your business card or whatever, shoot it yourself and use it as your own business card. We just come back up here. So this type of thing, I was actually using an Octobox, 1200 Octobox, 8300 Pro. This was also just one light. So using just one light on a white background, and that is what you get. So you can just shoot with one or two lights, especially if you're in a small space. You can get away with actually using very minimal lighting and still be able to get some great images. I mean, this is a great image. It has been published in a magazine and some other ones as well, even from the pink hair stock images. So next week's shoot, I'm definitely going to be looking at getting the bike in. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the bike in tonight. It was a bit last minute and unforeseen circumstances, but we will be next week. We will be having the the motorbike in studio, and I will be showing you how to light that up with very minimal lights. Actually, I'm going to try and keep it to three, maybe four lights, and I'll show you also the importance about, because different motorcycles have very different looks, so we'll be going in, touching on that, and shooting the bike on its best view, on its hero view. So it should be quite a good show to watch next week. Some of the other things I need to say before I drop off is obviously backgrounds and stuff. One of the sponsors of Getting to Grips, Golden Power batteries. So backgrounds, white paper backgrounds, pink backgrounds, green screen. This is all green screen behind me. So I actually get my green screen background from Golden Power batteries, and you can use my code there to get a discount there. But they have a whole load of stuff, from power stations to batteries to light modifiers, boom arms, you name it. Anything photography you can also get there. And they also do obviously have the Godox stuff there, which you can also use the code on. And obviously you go to Godox for anything Godox, go to godox.co.za and use my code, which should be up on the bottom of the screen just there. Also, if you're in an area and you're wanting Godox SA to actually come in and about your area, register on the free basic training. It's a real awesome way of actually getting together with different creatives from all over the country. I mean, Godox SA come down with some real talented creatives, ambassadors, and creators, and they do workshops and they show you guys how to do this stuff, and you're right there with them and seeing all the stuff happen right in front of you. So it's a great way of also networking with other creatives in your area. So get on and register on that. And then on the events page, you can go to godox.co.za, check out the events that are happening, and if there's anything that you like to be a part of, then register for those events online as well. So yeah, I think that's about it. I think it is. Yeah, I think that's it. Any more questions before I actually log off and say cheers for the evening? And unfortunately, as I said, sorry I didn't have the bike in this evening, and we had to just sort of do this sort of chat session, but I think it's all good. Just a good way of testing the comments were coming through. But if there's nothing else, or if you think of anything else after I've actually been on, drop me a DM on social media. I'm happy to answer any of your questions, and also you can drop me an email. I think all my contact details are on my social media, my business phone, my email, and everything. So reach out if you need any advice on Godox equipment. Just drop me a line, and I will answer the best I can, or I will find out and answer the best I can. Okay, so thanks guys, thanks for watching, and thanks for the questions and the comments and everything that came through. I will be online again next week, as I said, with the bike, and I'm sure there's some events that I will be attending for Godox SA as well. So there's lots of exciting things happening. I mean, we've got all the messages of all the things that are actually happening and being planned, and it's really sounding awesome. So cheers for now, and we'll see you again online soon. Thanks for watching, guys.